This video will contain spoilers for The Rise of Skywalker and pretty much the rest of the Star Wars series. And yes, this voice is very entertaining to talk in. Hello everybody! Dun 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 dun. So you probably couldn't tell, but I like Star Wars. And the weird thing about Star Wars is, well, one, the people that love Star Wars the most are also the people that hate Star Wars the most. And two, you got the original trilogy, which is great, and then it all goes downhill from there. So today, we're gonna figure out exactly what went wrong. Of course, this is all in my opinion because, as you know, we don't deal with facts on this channel. Let's do this thing. I also have a red one, and a Darth Vader mask. No, Luke, I am your father. Which is the actual quote, and often misquoted as, Luke, I am your father, but no, it's actually, no, I am your father. No, Luke. Fun facts with Jacob. Anyway, back to the task on hand. Terrible jokes with Jacob. But seriously, Star Wars, what went wrong? The original trilogy is amazing. Then the prequels are not so amazing. And the new trilogy, or the sequels, better than the prequels in acting and overall enjoyment at times, but definitely not in the continuity. So yeah, it's a mess. And I think the best way to figure out what went wrong is to take a look at each of the trilogies. First, the original trilogy. Like I said before, it's great. It's like the best trilogy ever made. And for being made in the late 70s, early 80s, they still hold up pretty well today. I mean, maybe some of the fight scenes aren't the greatest. Like Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fighting in A New Hope, aka two old guys trying to poke each other with glow sticks. But the story is really good and consistent throughout all three films. Each film builds on the last one, unlike a certain future trilogy that we'll get to later. And there are really only a few things contradicted from film to film. For instance, Darth Vader being Luke's father, when in the last movie Obi-Wan told Luke that Darth Vader killed his father. But then even that is explained in the next movie when Obi-Wan says, oh, well, when I said killed, I meant symbolically killed. Like, when your father became Darth Vader, he was symbolically killed. He was no longer Anakin Skywalker, the good Jedi. He was Darth Vader, the evil Sith. So, yeah, what I had said was technically true under the properties of the transitive photosynthesis. And yes, that is the actual line from the movie. What, you thought I just made that up? Yeah, how dare you accuse me of such a thing? I mean, you made that up. And as far as I'm concerned, there was no plan for the trilogy. Like when A New Hope came out, or just Star Wars at the time, nobody knew what was going to happen in Empire Strikes Back, and the same with Return of the Jedi. Now, right about now, you might be screaming at me. And yes, I am aware that George Lucas originally wrote the trilogy as one movie, with each movie being each act, but then cut it up into 3 movies because it was just way too long for one movie. But I mean, stuff like this really makes you wonder how planned this whole thing actually was. But nevertheless, not many things are set up in these movies, and when they are paid off later. Again, unlike a future trilogy that we'll get to later. But yeah, the original trilogy is great, even with questionable planning. But let's move on to the prequels. The prequels are the prequels. Wow, how profound. I mean, they're obviously planned. Unlike the original's questionable planning and the sequel's confirmed lack of planning. I mean, like, the ending is given to you, you just have to make sure that everybody is in the places that they are at the beginning of A New Hope. And I guess you also have to make sure that it makes sense with the story and not just like, oh, they're going over there because that's where they need to be at the end of this, but it actually makes no sense with the rest of the story. And I genuinely think that they did a pretty good job of that. Because on paper, I think the prequels are pretty good. Everything set up is paid off. For example, Qui-Gon Jinn dies, which then leads to the incompletely trained Obi-Wan to become Anakin's mentor, which then ultimately leads to Anakin becoming Darth Vader. Also, the reveal that Palpatine is Darth Sidious. And I put reveal in quotes because I'm pretty sure that it's not really a reveal. So then, why are the prequels hated? It seems like they're very planned out, make sense story-wise, and pay off everything they set up, so what's the problem? Well, the problem is in the execution of it all. And by that, I mean stuff like...
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
And also just the entire existence of Jar Jar Binks, who they totally should have made a Sith Lord. But I guess in the end, there's really only 3 things you need to know about the prequels. 1. My allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy! 2. I have the high ground. And 3. If you're not with me, then you're my enemy. Now, the sequel trilogy. They were not planned at all. No plan! Well, actually, there was a plan. And then there was another plan. And then there was another plan. And these 3 plans did not coincide with each other at all. And you know what these 3 plans were? The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. Yep. You see, unlike both of the 2 previous trilogies, they do set up things. They set up a lot of things. But they forget the key detail, the key essential detail of actually following through with the things they set up. Like Maz Kanata having Luke's lightsaber. That's a story for another time. AKA, you know what would be really fun? Just not going back to this ever. Let's just not explain how in the Jar Jar Binks Maz Kanata has Luke's lightsaber. And what about Finn's entire love life? Is it Rey? Rose? Is it this new Stormtrooper girl whose name I can't remember because I'm just so confused at this point? And so is Finn, probably. I just hope that her name doesn't start with an R. Yes! But then Finn keeps trying to tell Rey something throughout the movie. And apparently, according to the director of the movie, J.J. Abrams, he's just trying to tell her that he can feel the Force too. But like, come on, doesn't it seem more likely that he'd be trying to say that he's in love with her? Like, I mean, that's something that you would yell out if you're about to die, not, Rey, I feel the Force too! And then at least it would have made that a little better if they had actually paid that off and had Finn actually use the Force. Like, you would have Palpatine about to kill Rey, and then you see Luke's lightsaber start to move, and the Captain America... Oh, right. That would have been a total ripoff of Captain America catching Mjolnir. And it would have been awesome. And I mean, they already ripped off the I am inevitable and I am Iron Man lines with the I am all of the Sith and I am all of the Jedi. Okay, so we've looked at each of the trilogies. So, what went wrong? The original trilogy is amazing. The prequels aren't good because of 1, Jar Jar Binks, and 2, dialogue like,
I don't like sand.
And the sequels had no plan. No plan! But I think it all boils down to the directors. See, the original trilogies had the same director for all 6 movies, George Lucas. The sequels, on the other hand, did not have the same director. The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker were directed by J.J. Abrams, while The Last Jedi was directed by Rian Johnson. So it goes J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson, J.J. Abrams. Do you see how that might create a problem? I mean, it probably would have been so bad if Disney hadn't somehow chosen 2 directors that had completely opposing views on where to take Star Wars. Because everything set up in The Force Awakens is then retconned in The Last Jedi, which is then retconned again in The Rise of Skywalker. Like, if I had to describe this trilogy to someone as if it was a car, I'd say, you got J.J. Abrams driving, and it's The Force Awakens. But then Rian Johnson abruptly takes the wheel and makes a hard left into The Last Jedi. Then J.J. Abrams regains control of the wheel and makes a hard right back on track with The Force Awakens. Except he missed the whole movie, so actually backtrack, effectively erasing The Last Jedi, and then full send, because you gotta fit 2 movies into a 1.5 hour movie. And the result is The Last Jedi. So the real reason that the sequels could never live up to the originals, or the prequels at times, is because the same director didn't direct all 3. Now all you Star Wars fans, please comment below which trilogy or movie was your favorite. And that's a wrap. My allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy! My allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy! To democracy! To democracy! To democracy! To democracy! I don't know.